The king's pregnant captive synopsis. When Zuri's village is destroyed for resisting the crown, she is dragged to the palace as a captive while secretly carrying King Jabari's child. Months earlier, Jabari had approached her disguised as an unmarried traveler, won her love with false promises, and abandoned her after she surrendered her heart and body to him. Determined to protect his crown, Jabari denies knowing Zuri and prepares to sell her into slavery. Queen Adanna, whose royal blood gave Jabari the throne, secretly removes Zuri from the palace for motives of her own. But the escape draws the attention of Prince Malik, Jabari's honorable eldest son, who falls in love with Zuri without knowing his father is the man who betrayed her. When the truth is revealed, Malik's love turns to heartbreak, while his ambitious brother Kellan uses the scandal to seize power. The royal family is torn apart by betrayal, rebellion, and a violent battle for the throne. Chapter 1. The Captive. He knew the palace courtyard fell silent as the prisoners were dragged through the gates. Dust covered their skin, ropes bound their wrists. Soldiers walked beside them carrying spears taken from the village they had burned before sunrise. At the front of the line was Zuri. Her blue dress was torn at the shoulder, and dried blood marked the side of her face. One hand rested protectively against her stomach. No one had noticed yet. She prayed they would not. "On your knees," a soldier shouted. The prisoners dropped before the royal steps. Zuri remained standing. The soldier struck the back of her legs with his spear. She fell, but she did not cry out. Above them, King Jabari sat beneath a golden canopy. Queen Adanna occupied the seat beside him, dressed in red silk and heavy jewels. Two princes stood near the throne. Prince Malik, the eldest, watched the captives with discomfort. His younger brother Kellan looked bored. The commander stepped forward. "The village refused the king's tax. They attacked our men and sheltered rebels." A prisoner shouted from the line, "You attacked us first!" A soldier silenced him with a blow. Zuri lifted her head. Her eyes met King Jabari's. The courtyard disappeared. For one painful moment, she saw him as he had been months earlier. A traveler dressed in plain clothes. A man who had sat beside her near the river and listened while she spoke about becoming a healer. A man who had kissed her beneath the fig tree and promised to return before the rains. A man who had never told her he was king. Jabari's fingers tightened around the arm of his throne. Zuri saw recognition in his face. Then it vanished. The commander pointed towards her. This one resisted the soldiers. She injured two men. Queen Adanna studied Zuri carefully. "Your name?" Zuri kept her eyes on the king. "Ask your husband." A murmur moved through the courtyard. Prince Kellan smiled with sudden interest. The queen turned slowly towards Jabari. "Do you know her?" The king looked at Zuri as though she were no different from the others. "No." The answer struck deeper than the ropes around her wrists. Zuri's hand moved again towards her stomach. The king noticed. So did the queen. Adanna's eyes narrowed. The commander grabbed Zuri by the hair and forced her head back. "Answer the queen." "My name is Zuri." Prince Malik stepped forward. "There are wounded people among them. They need water." Kellan laughed. "They are prisoners, brother, not guests." "They are still people." Malik descended the steps and ordered a servant to bring water. As he passed Zuri, he noticed the bruises on her wrists. His expression softened. Zuri looked away. She did not want kindness from the king's son. Queen Adanna continued watching her. "How long have you been with child?" Zuri froze. The entire courtyard seemed to stop breathing. King Jabari rose from his throne. "She is not pregnant." Adanna looked at him. "You answered quickly." Jabari sat down again. "I said she does not appear pregnant." Zuri finally understood. He was afraid, not for her, for himself. The queen stood. "Have the women examined?" The commander bowed. "And the rest of the prisoners?" "Place them in the lower compound until the traders arrive." Zuri's face changed. "Traders?" Prince Malik looked towards his father. "You said prisoners would work to repay the tax." Jabari avoided his eyes. Plans change. The soldiers began pulling the captives to their feet. As Zuri was dragged past the throne, she stopped. The guard yanked the rope, but she remained firm. She looked directly at Jabari. "You promised to return for me." Queen Adanna turned sharply. Prince Malik stared at his father. Kellen's smile widened. Jabari's face became cold. "I have never seen you before." Zuri swallowed the pain rising in her throat. Then she leaned closer and whispered, "When your child is born in chains, remember those words." The king's face lost its color. Queen Adanna heard every word. Chapter 2. The crown belonged to her. Queen Adanna did not speak until the courtyard had emptied. She remained beside the throne, watching the soldiers drag Zuri and the other prisoners towards the lower compound. Jabari rose. "We should discuss the traders." "We will discuss the woman first." His steps stopped. Adanna turned to face him. The royal guards stood several feet away, but her voice remained low. "You know her." "I told you I did not." "You also said she was not pregnant before anyone examined her." Jabari forced a laugh. "She was trying to provoke us." "She called the child yours." "A desperate captive will say anything to save herself." Adanna studied him. Jabari wore the crown, sat upon the throne, and was called king by everyone in the kingdom. But both of them knew the truth. The crown had belonged to Adanna's family for generations. Her father, King Omari, had produced 3 daughters and no sons. Fearing that rival families would fight for the throne after his death, he had arranged Adanna's marriage to Jabari. Jabari's father had been Omari's closest friend and most trusted advisor. The marriage had made Jabari powerful. Adanna's blood had made him king. Without her, he was only the son of a court official wearing another family's crown. "You forget what is at risk," Jabari said. Adanna stepped closer. "No, you forget." Her eyes moved towards the royal emblem carved above the throne. "My father placed you here because he trusted your family. I have ruled this kingdom for 18 years. In my family's name." Jabari's face tightened. Adanna continued, "If that woman is carrying your child, you did not merely betray me. You created a bastard child outside the royal marriage. It would be an illegitimate child. Rumors run as fire once a match is lit." Footsteps approached. Prince Kellen entered the courtyard. "Mother," Adanna turned. "You were told to leave. I wanted to know whether the prisoner was telling the truth." Jabari's voice hardened. "This matter does not concern you." Kellen smiled faintly. "Everything concerning the throne concerns me. You are not the heir. Not while Malik lives." Adanna stared at him until the smile left his face. "Return to your chambers." Kellen bowed, but his eyes remained on Jabari. "As you wish." He walked away slowly. Adanna knew he would not go far. He never did when secrets were being spoken. She called one of her personal attendants. "Take the palace midwife to the lower compound. Examine Zuri privately." Jabari stepped forward. "That is unnecessary." Adanna did not look at him. "Bring the results only to me." The attendant bowed and left. Jabari lowered his voice. "What are you planning?" "To discover whether my husband has placed another woman's child inside my palace." Zuri sat on the stone floor of the lower compound. Iron bars separated the women from the men. Some prisoners whispered prayers. Others stared blankly at the walls. An elderly woman named Mama Esha sat beside Zuri. "You should not have challenged the king publicly. He deserved worse. You knew him before today." Zuri looked away. Mama Esha followed her gaze. Is the child truly his? Zuri placed her hand over her stomach. Before she could answer, the door opened. 3 palace women entered with a gray-haired midwife. "Which one is Zuri?" the midwife asked. No one spoke. A guard pointed through the bars. "The one in blue." The cell was opened. The women seized Zuri's arms. "Do not touch me. The queen has ordered an examination." Zuri struggled, but weakness overcame her. They took her into a small room beside the cells. The midwife closed the door. "Lie down." Zuri remained standing. "I know I am with child. I must confirm it." "You mean you must report it?" The midwife's expression softened slightly. "How long?" "Nearly 4 full moons ago." The woman stared at her. "You cannot hide it much longer." Zuri looked towards the closed door. "I only needed to hide it until he returned." "And did he?" Zuri laughed bitterly. "You saw how he welcomed me." The midwife placed a hand against Zuri's stomach. As she examined her, Zuri closed her eyes. The cold room disappeared. Months earlier, Zuri had been gathering herbs beside the river when she first saw him. He wore a plain brown robe and carried no royal symbols. His horse stood nearby, drinking from the water. "You are taking the wrong leaves," Zuri told him. The stranger turned. "I did not know leaves could be wrong. Those will make your fever worse." He looked at the plants in his hand. "Then perhaps you should save me." Zuri almost walked away, but he smiled. Not like a king, not like a man accustomed to obedience, like someone who wanted her to stay. "My name is Jabba," he said. It was the first lie. He claimed to be a merchant's son traveling between villages. He visited the river again the following day, then the next. He listened while Zuri spoke about herbs, healing, and her dream of opening a place where no sick person would be turned away for lacking money. "You think too much about other people," he told her, "and you think too much about yourself." He laughed. No man had ever listened to her that way. No man had ever made her feel that her smallest thoughts mattered. By the time she noticed how carefully he avoided questions about his home, she had already begun waiting for him beside the river. The midwife's voice pulled her back. "The child is healthy." Zuri opened her eyes. The words should have brought comfort. Instead, fear settled deeper inside her. The midwife moved towards the door. Zuri caught her wrist. "What will the queen do?" "I do not know." "You serve her." "I serve the palace." "That is not the same thing." The midwife looked at Zuri's bruised face. "No," she said quietly. "It is not." When she opened the door, Prince Malik stood outside. The guard straightened. "My prince." Malik looked at Zuri. "Is she hurt?" The midwife hesitated. "She is with child." Malik's eyes moved to Zuri's stomach. "Who is the father?" Zuri said nothing. Before Malik could ask again, Kellen appeared at the end of the corridor. He had heard enough. A slow smile spread across his face. The secret his father feared was no longer buried, and Kellen already knew exactly how he would use it. Chapter 3. The Queen's Bargain. The palace midwife knelt before Queen Adanna. The woman is nearly 4 moons pregnant. Adanna sat silently beside the open window. Below, servants crossed the courtyard carrying baskets and jars, unaware that a single unborn child threatened to split the palace apart. "And the child?" she asked. "Healthy." Adanna's fingers tightened around the arm of her chair. "Are you certain of how far along she is?" "Yes, Your Majesty." "Did she name the father?" "She did not need to." The midwife lowered her eyes. Adanna dismissed her and waited until the chamber doors closed. Then she turned towards Jabari. He had been standing near the wall, pretending to be calm. 4 moons, she said. Jabari said nothing. "Where were you 4 moons ago?" "Traveling through the southern villages." Inspecting taxes? Yes. Or inspecting village women? Jabari's jaw tightened. Be careful, Adanna. She rose slowly. You stand in my father's palace, beneath my family's emblem, wearing a crown my blood placed upon your head. Do not tell me to be careful. Jabari looked towards the guards outside the chamber. Lower your voice. Now you fear people listening. This scandal could weaken the throne. Adanna laughed bitterly. The throne, or you? He stepped closer. Both. Then tell me the truth. Jabari looked away. Adanna's voice hardened. How did you meet her? He remained silent. She struck him across the face. The sound filled the chamber. Jabari slowly turned back towards her. You forget I am king. And you forget why. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Jabari moved towards the window. I traveled without royal guards because rebels were gathering near the southern border. I wanted to hear what the villagers were saying. And Zuri, she found me beside the river. Adanna watched his face carefully. What did you tell her? That I was a merchant's son. Did she know you had a wife? No. Did she know you had children? No. Did she know anything true about you? Jabari did not answer. That was answer enough. Adanna turned away, swallowing her humiliation. You promised her something. It meant nothing. It meant enough for her to surrender herself to you. Jabari's expression darkened. She made her own choices. Adanna faced him sharply. She made them loving a man who did not exist. In the lower compound, Prince Malik placed a bowl of food beside Zuri's cell. You should eat. Zuri remained against the wall. I do not accept gifts from this family. It is not a gift. Then what is it? Food. Mama Esh reached through the bars and took the bowl. She may refuse your kindness, the old woman said, but the child should not suffer because its mother is stubborn. Zuri glared at her. Mama Esha began eating, and old women should not suffer either. Malik almost smiled. Zuri noticed how tired he looked. You knew prisoners were being sold, she asked. Malik's expression changed. My father told me they would work until the village tax was repaid. And you believed him? I had no reason not to. You lived inside this palace your entire life. You had many reasons. You simply never looked for them. The words wounded him. Before he could respond, footsteps entered the corridor. Prince Kellen appeared. Brother, mother is looking for you. Malik turned. She did not send anyone. Kellen smiled. Perhaps she knew I would find you here. His eyes moved towards Zuri. Leave us. Malik remained still. I was speaking to her. And now I am. Something cold passed between the brothers. Malik looked at Zuri once more before walking away. Kellen waited until the corridor door closed. Then he approached the bars. You have caused great trouble. Zuri leaned her head against the wall. I have been here less than a day. And already my father is frightened, my mother is furious, and my brother is bringing you food. I did not ask for any of it. No, that is what makes you useful. Zuri looked at him. Kellen crouched beside the cell. I can prevent the traders from taking you. At what price? You will tell the palace that Malik is the father of your child. Zuri stared at him. You want me to accuse your brother? I want you to tell a believable story. I met Malik today. The kingdom does not know that. Zuri moved closer to the bars. And when the child is born looking like your father, Kellen's smile thinned. By then, Malik will have lost the right to inherit. You would destroy your brother for a throne that belongs to your mother's blood. It belongs to whoever is strong enough to take it. Zuri shook her head. You are more like Jabari than you know. Kellen's face darkened. He glanced towards Mama Esha. The traders prefer younger captives. But they sometimes take older women when they need workers for the ships. Mama Esha stopped eating. Zuri stood. Do not threaten her. I am offering you a choice. No, you are hiding behind people who cannot fight you. Kellen rose. Think carefully. By tomorrow, you may no longer have choices. He walked away. Mama Isha looked at Zuri. You should pretend to agree and help him destroy Malik. You owe that prince nothing. No. Zuri touched her stomach. But I will not make another innocent person carry Jabari's sin. That night, Zuri lay awake listening to the prisoners breathe. She thought of the river, of the first time Jabari had taken her hand beneath the fig tree. He had visited her village for weeks by then. He knew when she gathered herbs. He knew which songs made her smile. He knew she wanted a home filled with children and patients waiting outside her door. One evening, rain had trapped them beneath an abandoned shelter. I must leave soon, he had told her. Zuri pulled her shawl tighter. You always leave before I can ask where you are going. I have responsibilities. What responsibilities? He touched her cheek. The kind I hope to leave behind. She should have moved away. Instead, she leaned into his hand. Come with me, he whispered. Where? To the old hunting house beyond the river. Zuri hesitated. My family will notice. Then tell them you are gathering medicine. She looked into his eyes. Will you return after your journey? Jabari smiled. I will return for you. It was the promise that opened the door. That night, she surrendered her trust, her heart, and finally her body to a man who had already planned to leave her behind. The sound of a key pulled Zuri from the memory. She sat up. The guards outside the cells were gone. Queen Adanna stood alone in the corridor wearing a dark cloak. A lamp burned in one hand. Mama Esha woke beside Zuri. The queen unlocked the cell. Come with me. Zuri did not move. Where? Out of the palace. Mama Esha looked between them. You are helping her escape? Adanna's face remained calm. Before sunrise, the traders will take the prisoners to the coast. Zuri studied her. Why would you save me? I am not saving you. Then what are you doing? Preventing my husband's foolishness from becoming the kingdom's scandal. Zuri remained suspicious. You could have me killed. If I wanted you dead, I would not be standing here without guards. That answer did not comfort her. Zuri looked towards the other prisoners. What about them? My arrangement concerns you alone. I will not leave them. Adanna's patience thinned. You have a child to protect, a child belonging to the man you married. The queen's eyes hardened. Do not mistake my restraint for forgiveness, and do not mistake my helplessness for stupidity. Silence settled between them. Zuri stepped closer. You hate me, you fear my child, yet you entered this prison in the middle of the night to offer freedom. Adanna held her gaze. What do you truly want? For the first time, the queen smiled. It was not warm. Someone inside this palace is planning to use your pregnancy against my eldest son. Kellen. Adanna did not confirm it. You will leave through the servants' passage. A horse will be waiting beyond the eastern wall. And after that, you will ride south and never return. Zuri looked at the open cell door. Freedom stood only a few steps away. Yet every instinct warned her that Adanna's offer concealed something larger. Why should I trust you? You should not. Adanna lifted the lamp. You should decide which danger frightens you more, the queen opening your cage or the king who denied knowing you. Before Zuri could answer, a shadow moved at the end of the corridor. Someone was watching them. Adanna turned sharply. Who is there? The shadow disappeared. Then the alarm bell rang. Guards began shouting above them. Adanna seized Zuri's wrist. We are out of time. Zuri pulled away. No, you are out of time. Footsteps thundered towards the prison. Adanna opened the hidden passage behind the wall. Come now, or Jabari will decide what happens to you. Zuri looked at Mama Isha, then at the prisoners waking behind the bars. She had dreamed of escaping the palace. She had not expected freedom to arrive wearing the queen's face. Chapter 4. The Hidden Passage. The alarm bell continued ringing. Guards shouted above the lower compound as metal doors slammed throughout the palace. Queen Adanna stood beside the opening in the wall. Choose quickly. Zuri looked at Mama Isha. She comes with me. Adanna's expression hardened. That was not part of the arrangement. Then there is no arrangement. You would sacrifice your escape for an old woman? Mama Isha stood beside me when your husband pretended I was a stranger. I will not abandon her because you opened one door. Mama Isha gripped Zuri's arm. Go. I have survived worse than traders. No. The footsteps outside grew louder. Adanna glanced towards the corridor. Bring her. Zuri helped Mama Isha stand, and the three women entered the hidden passage. Adanna pulled the stone door closed behind them. Darkness swallowed the prison. The passage was narrow, forcing them to move in a single line. Adanna led with the lamp while Zuri supported Mama Isha from behind. How many secret passages are beneath this palace? Zuri asked. Enough to protect the royal family. And none to free the people imprisoned below it? Adanna did not answer. They descended several steps before entering a wider tunnel. Old royal symbols were carved into the walls. Zuri recognized the emblem displayed above the throne. This belonged to your father. It belonged to his father before him. Adanna continued walking. My ancestors built these passages during the old wars. The eastern path leads beyond the palace wall. And the other path? Adanna stopped beside a dark opening. To the royal burial grounds. Mama Isha peered into the darkness. Many secrets walk more comfortably among the dead. Adanna lifted the lamp and continued. Zuri watched her carefully. The queen moved with confidence, but one hand remained beneath her cloak. She was carrying a weapon. You planned this before coming to the prison, Zuri said. I plan everything before I act. Then the horse outside the eastern wall was not prepared tonight. Adanna said nothing. You already knew you might need to remove me. I knew your presence had become dangerous. To whom? To everyone. That is not an answer. It is the only one you need. They reached a wooden door at the end of the passage. Before Adanna could open it, a figure stepped from the shadows. Prince Malik. He held a sword, but it remained lowered. Mother. Adanna's face changed. You should not be here. I saw you dismiss the guards from the lower compound. Zuri looked at him. You followed her? I wanted to know what she was planning. Adanna moved closer to her son. You know nothing about this. I know father lied when he claimed he had never seen Zuri. I know Kellen threatened her. Now I find you taking her through a secret tunnel in the middle of the night. You should return to your chambers. No. Malik looked at Zuri. Where are you taking her? Away from the palace. Why? To prevent this scandal from destroying your future. Malik's eyes narrowed. My future? Kellen wants Zuri to name you as the father of her child. Shock crossed Malik's face. He looked at Zuri's stomach, then quickly back at her eyes. He asked you to do that? Zuri nodded. He offered to save me if I destroyed you. Malik tightened his grip on the sword. I will deal with him. No, Adanna replied. You will do nothing. He threatened an innocent woman. He is trying to provoke you. Every angry decision you make gives him another weapon. Malik turned towards Zuri. I can protect you here. Zuri almost laughed. Your father burned my village, chained my people, and prepared to sell us. What protection does this palace offer? I am not my father. You carry his name. That does not mean I carry his choices. Zuri studied him. For the first time, she noticed that Malik did not defend Jabari. He appeared ashamed of him. You did not know the prisoners would be sold, she said. No. Would you have stopped it? Malik hesitated. Zuri's expression hardened. That pause is your answer. I cannot change what I did not know. But you can decide what you do now. Something passed between them. Not trust, not yet, but the beginning of something neither understood. A heavy knock struck the wooden door. Everyone froze. Open it, a guard shouted from the other side. Adanna lowered the lamp. How did they reach the eastern gate so quickly? Zuri looked at Malik. Someone knew where we were going. A familiar voice came through the door. Mother. Kellen. Malik drew his sword. Adanna caught his arm. That is what he wants. Kellen knocked again. Father is coming. I suggest you open the door before he finds you hiding his captive. Adanna's eyes burned with fury. You raised the alarm, Malik said. I became concerned when I discovered a prisoner missing. You followed Mother. No, I followed you. Kellen laughed softly from the other side. You have become careless, brother. Adanna looked around the tunnel. There was nowhere else to go. She turned to Zuri. When I open this door, say nothing. Why? Because whatever happens next must appear real. Before Zuri could question her, Adanna pulled a small knife from beneath her cloak and pressed it against Zuri's throat. Mama Isha gasped. Malik stepped forward. Mother, trust me. Zuri's eyes hardened. I already told you I do not. Adanna opened the door. Kellen stood outside with 6 guards. King Jabari was behind them. His robe had been thrown hastily over his nightclothes, but the crown sat firmly upon his head. His eyes moved from Adanna's knife to Zuri. What is happening? Adanna shoved Zuri towards the guards. I found her attempting to escape. Zuri stumbled. For one terrible moment, she believed the queen had betrayed her. Kellen looked past them into the passage. With Malik's help, Jabari turned towards his eldest son. Is that true? Malik looked at his mother. Adanna gave him the smallest shake of her head. No, Malik answered. I heard the alarm and followed the guards. Kellen smiled. He lies poorly. Adanna faced Jabari. Your soldiers failed to secure the prison. That is the only betrayal here. Jabari studied her. And why were you in the passage? Because unlike you, I understood that your captive would not wait quietly to be sold. The guards bound Zuri's hands again. She stared at Adanna. The queen refused to meet her eyes. Jabari approached Zuri. You should have accepted the mercy offered to you. Mercy? You are alive. My village is ash because of you. Jabari lowered his voice so Malik could not hear. Once you cross the sea, no one will care who fathered your child. Zuri leaned closer. You will care. His face tightened. Every night, you will wonder whether the child you abandoned is still alive. Jabari stepped back quickly. Take her to the trader's wagon. Malik moved forward. She is pregnant. And? You would send a woman carrying a child across the sea in chains? Jabari's expression became cold. She is a captive. She is a person. Kellen watched Malik carefully. The concern in his brother's voice had grown stronger. It was not love yet, but Kellen recognized the road leading towards it. Jabari pointed at the guards. Remove her. Malik stepped between them and Zuri. No. Silence fell. Even Adanna looked surprised. Jabari stared at his son. Move. You have not held a trial. You have presented no evidence that she attacked the kingdom. You burned her village because they refused your demands. You question me before prisoners. I question what you are becoming. Jabari struck Malik across the face. The sound echoed through the passage. Zuri flinched. Kellen watched with quiet satisfaction. Malik slowly turned back towards his father. For the first time, there was no obedience in his eyes. Adanna stepped between them. Enough. Jabari pointed towards Zuri. Take her away before my son forgets himself completely. The guards dragged Zuri and Mama Isha from the tunnel. As Zuri passed Malik, their eyes met. He looked helpless. She hated that part of her wished he were not. Adanna caught Zuri's wrist. To the guards, it appeared that the queen was tightening the rope. Instead, she pressed something small into Zuri's palm. A metal key. "Do not use it until you hear the owl," Adanna whispered. Zuri looked at her. The queen released her before anyone noticed. Before dawn, Zuri and Mama Isha were placed inside a covered wagon. The other prisoners remained in the lower compound. Their cries faded as the wagon moved away. "You should have escaped without me," Mama Isha said. "I would have carried the guilt farther than the child." The wagon passed through the eastern gate. 4 palace guards rode beside it. Ahead, 2 slave traders guided the horses towards the southern road. Zuri kept the key hidden between her fingers. "Did the queen betray us?" Mama Isha whispered. "I do not know." "She gave you something." Zuri looked at her sharply. The old notice what powerful people overlook. Before Zuri could answer, an owl called from the trees. Once, then twice. The guards stopped. One trader looked towards the forest. "That bird sounds close." An arrow struck his chest. He fell from the wagon. Masked riders emerged from the trees. The palace guards drew their swords, but the attack came from every direction. Zuri unlocked her ropes. Mama Isha pulled back the wagon covering as steel clashed outside. One of the masked riders jumped onto the wagon. Zuri lifted the loose chain, ready to strike. "Do not fight me," the rider said. "The queen sent us." Zuri did not lower the chain. "Where are you taking us?" "Somewhere the king will never find you." "That is not what she promised." The rider hesitated. Zuri understood. The horse beyond the wall had never been meant to carry her south. Adanna had lied. The rider seized the reins and turned the wagon away from the southern road. They rode north, towards the mountains. At the palace, Malik stood alone in the lower compound. Zuri's empty cell remained open. On the floor, he found the untouched bowl of food he had brought her. Kellen appeared behind him. "You are becoming attached to the prisoner." Malik did not turn. "She has a name." "They all do." Malik faced him. "What do you know about her child?" Kellen smiled. "Why does that concern you?" "You wanted her to accuse me. I wanted to see whether she would." "That is not an answer." Kellen stepped closer. "Be careful, brother. Love can become a powerful weakness." Malik's expression hardened. "She is not my weakness." "Not yet." Kellen walked away. Malik looked at the empty cell again. He did not know where Zuri had been taken. He did not know who had fathered her child. But he knew one thing. He could not allow her to disappear. Jabari watched the sunrise from the royal balcony. "The traders should reach the river by midday," he said. Adanna stood behind him. "They should." He turned. "You seem calm." "The source of your shame is gone." Jabari searched her face. For 18 years, he had lived beside Adanna. He still couldn't tell when she was lying. After he left, a woman wearing the queen's colors entered the chamber. "The wagon has been taken," she whispered. "Zuri is on her way to the mountain fortress." Adanna looked towards the closed doors. "And the guards?" "None survived." Adanna showed no emotion. "Good." The woman lowered her voice. "What should we do when the child is born?" Adanna stared at the royal throne across the chamber. For years, Jabari had behaved as though the crown belonged to him. Now his greatest secret was growing inside a woman he believed had been carried towards the coast. "Keep them both alive," Adanna said. "For how long?" The queen's eyes settled on Jabari's empty throne. "Until I decide how his secret can help me take back what is mine." Chapter 5. The mountain cage. The wagon climbed through the mountains as morning light spread across the sky. Zuri sat beside Mama Isha, listening to the masked riders surrounding them. No one had removed their face coverings. No one had explained where they were going. "This does not feel like freedom," Mama Esha whispered. "It is not." Zuri kept the metal key hidden inside her torn sleeve. The wagon turned onto a narrow path bordered by steep rocks. Ahead, an old stone fortress stood against the mountainside. Its walls were high, its gates were guarded. Zuri looked at the rider holding the reins. "You said you were taking us somewhere the king would never find us. He will not find you here. That does not mean we are free." The rider did not answer. The gates opened. Inside, soldiers wearing no royal symbols trained in the courtyard. Women carried water between stone buildings, while armed guards watched from towers above. The wagon stopped. A tall woman descended the fortress steps. She wore a dark green robe over leather armor. A thin scar crossed one side of her neck. The masked riders bowed. "Lady Safia." Zuri studied her. The woman had Adanna's eyes. "You are the queen's sister," Zuri said. Safia looked surprised. "You recognized me quickly. The resemblance is uncanny." Safia glanced at the riders. "Remove the ropes. They are already unlocked," one man said. Safia looked at Zuri's hands. "The queen gave you the key. And gave me a lie too." Safia approached the wagon. "My sister saved your life. Your sister moved me from one guarded place to another. Jabari intended to sell you. And Adanna intends to use me." Safia's expression remained calm. "You are observant. I have learned that powerful people rarely open doors without wanting something in return." Mama Esh climbed slowly from the wagon. "What does the queen want with the child?" Safia glanced at Zuri's stomach. "That is a question for Adanna." "Then let us speak to her. She will come when it is safe." Zuri stepped down. "And until then, you will remain here. As a guest?" Safia looked towards the guards above the walls. "As someone under our protection." Zuri laughed bitterly. "A cage becomes protection." Safia moved closer. "This fortress is the only place where Jabari cannot reach you without starting a war within his own family." "Then open the gate." "No." The answer came without hesitation. Zuri's face hardened. Safia continued. "You may walk anywhere inside the fortress. You will receive food, clothing, and medical care. But I cannot leave." "Not yet." Zuri turned towards the closed gates. She had escaped the slave traders. She had not escaped the royal family. Inside the palace, Malik entered the royal stables before sunrise. His closest guard, Sefu, followed him. Sefu was older than Malik by several years and had served him since the prince was a boy. "You cannot leave without an escort," Sefu said. "I am not asking permission." The king doubled the guards at every gate. "Then we use the old hunting path." Sefu watched Malik saddle a horse. "You believe Zuri escaped the traders. I believe my mother arranged it. Why would the queen help her? That is what I intend to discover." Sefu lowered his voice. "The woman has been inside the palace for 1 day, and you are already risking your father's anger. This is not only about her. No? My father burned a village and prepared to sell its people. If he can do that without consequence, what will he do when someone else refuses him?" Sefu studied him. "You have questioned the king before. Not enough." Malik tightened the saddle strap. Sefu leaned against the stable door. "And the woman?" Malik stopped. "What about her? You returned to the prison after she was taken." "I needed answers. You asked Kellen about her child, because he tried to use it against me. You kept the bowl she refused to eat." Malik looked towards him. Sefu raised both hands. "I am only saying your concern for a captive is admirable. She is carrying a child and being hunted by people with armies. Many people in this kingdom are suffering. I know. Yet you are saddling a horse for her." Malik pulled himself onto the horse. "Are you coming?" Sefu sighed and reached for another saddle. I have spent most of my life preventing you from making foolish decisions. Then today should feel familiar. Kellen watched from the upper balcony as Malik and Sifu rode towards the western wall. He had followed his brother from the lower compound. Malik believed he was being careful. He had never learned that Kellen survived by noticing where people looked when they lied. A servant approached. "Prince Kellen, the king requests your presence." Kellen smiled. "Tell him I have information about the missing captive." The servant bowed and hurried away. Kellen looked towards the road where Malik had disappeared. His brother was moving exactly where Kellen wanted him. King Jabari stood over a map inside the council chamber. The commander of the palace guard pointed towards the southern road. "We found the wagon near the forest." "And the prisoners?" Jabari asked. "Gone." "The traders?" "Dead." Jabari turned towards Adanna. She sat beside the council table, appearing disturbed. "You ordered only 6 guards to accompany them." "It was your decision to move them before sunrise," she replied. "The attackers knew the route. Perhaps your slave traders have enemies." Jabari struck the table. "They were not traveling under a trader's banner." Adanna remained calm. "Then someone inside the palace betrayed you." Kellen entered. "I may know who." Jabari faced him. "Speak." Malik left through the western gate before sunrise. Adanna's eyes moved towards him. "With whom?" "Sefu." Jabari looked at his wife. "Did you know?" "No." Kellen approached the map. Malik was unusually interested in the captive. He argued with father, returned to her cell and questioned me about her child. "He is concerned about what happened to the village," Adanna said. Kellen smiled. "He did not ride into the mountains for a village." Jabari's expression darkened. "What mountains?" Kellen touched the northern region of the map. "The old road near Lady Safia's fortress." Adanna stared at him. "How would you know where Malik went?" "I had one of the gate guards follow him." Jabari looked at Adanna. "Your sister's fortress. It has been abandoned for years. Then you will not object if I send soldiers to search it." Adanna stood. "That land belongs to my mother's family. Royal soldiers cannot enter without Safia's permission. I am the king." Through marriage. The council members lowered their eyes. Jabari stepped closer. "Be careful how often you remind me of that." Adanna met his gaze. "Be careful how often you give me reason to." Jabari turned to the commander. "Gather 30 men." Adanna's composure nearly broke. "For one pregnant captive. For whoever killed my guards." Kellen watched his mother carefully. For the first time, he saw fear pass through her face. Now he knew. Zuri was in the mountains. At the fortress, Zuri entered a small room with a bed, table, and open window. There were no bars. She still felt imprisoned. Mama Esha sat on the bed while the healer examined her swollen ankle. Safia stood near the doorway. "Your people need treatment," Zuri said. Safia glanced towards the courtyard. "What makes you think they are sick?" "The man near the well is hiding a fever. The girl carrying grain has pain in her left side. One of your guards is favoring his right leg. You noticed all that while crossing the courtyard." "I am a healer." Safia looked towards Mama Isha. "Is she always this difficult?" "Only when she is awake." Zuri opened a basket of dried herbs on the table. These were prepared badly. "They came from the capital." "That explains it." Safia almost smiled. "You may use the fortress infirmary." Zuri looked at her. "And in return?" "Not everything is a bargain. Royal families have taught me otherwise." Safia moved towards the door. "My sister did not order me to make you work." "What did she order?" "To keep you alive." "And the child?" Safia paused. "To keep the child alive too." Zuri watched her carefully. "Why?" Safia left without answering. Mama Esha waited until the door closed. "The queen wants the baby for something." "I know." "What will you do?" Zuri placed both hands over her stomach. "Leave before she decides what." By afternoon, Zuri was inside the fortress infirmary. A young soldier sat before her while she cleaned a wound on his leg. "You should have washed this days ago," she said. "I thought it would heal." "Wounds do not heal because we ignore them." Mama Isha sat nearby crushing herbs with a stone. That advice could help the entire palace. The soldier tried not to laugh. A horn sounded from one of the watchtowers. Safia entered immediately. "What is it?" A guard appeared at the door. 2 riders approaching from the western path. "Royal colors?" "No." Safia reached for her sword. "Close the gates." Zuri moved towards the window. 2 horses climbed the narrow road. One rider wore a dark cloak, but Zuri recognized the way he sat upon the horse. "Malik." Safia looked at her. "You know the rider. He is Jabari's eldest son." The fortress gates began closing. Zuri stepped towards the door. "Let him enter." Safia blocked her. "He may have led soldiers here. He does not know why I'm here. That makes him more dangerous, not less." Outside, Malik reached the gate. "Open." Safia walked onto the upper wall. "You are far from the palace, Prince Malik." He looked up at her. "I came to speak with my aunt. You have not visited me in 5 years. I have been a poor nephew. You have been an obedient son." Malik's expression tightened. "I am looking for someone." Safia glanced towards Zuri, who remained hidden below the wall. "No travelers have passed through here." Malik looked at the fresh wagon tracks leading through the gate. "You have become a poor liar." Sefu leaned towards him. "We should leave." Malik ignored him. "Zuri." His voice echoed through the courtyard. Zuri closed her eyes. He had come. She did not understand why that frightened her more than the fortress walls. "Zuri, I know you are inside." Safia ordered the guards to raise their bows. Zuri stepped into the open courtyard. "Stop." Malik saw her. Relief crossed his face before he could hide it. "You are alive." Zuri looked at the armed guards surrounding him. "You should not have come. Were you brought here against your will?" She glanced towards Safia. "I was told I had been rescued. That is not what I asked. No one has asked what I want since your soldiers entered my village." Malik dismounted. "Then tell me now." "I want the palace prisoners freed." "I cannot do that alone. You could begin by returning and speaking for them." "I will." Zuri studied him. "Why should I believe you?" "Because I rode through the night to find you." "That may only prove you are reckless." Sefu muttered. "At last, someone else sees it." Malik ignored him. "Come back with me." Zuri laughed. "To the palace? I can take you somewhere safe." "Your mother said the same thing." Malik looked towards Safia. "My mother arranged this?" Zuri realized he truly did not know. Before she could answer, the young soldier she had treated ran into the courtyard. "Lady Safia." He pointed towards the southern watchtower. "Royal soldiers are climbing the mountain." Safia looked at Malik. "You were followed." "I took the western path." "Then someone knew where you were going." Sefu drew his sword. "How many?" 30, perhaps more." Zuri stared at Malik. "The king sent them." Malik looked towards the mountain road. "My father believes I helped you escape." "No," Safia said. "He believes Adanna did." A second horn sounded. The fortress gates were sealed. Archers took their positions along the walls. Malik turned towards Zuri. "If my father's men find you here, they will take you back." "I am not going back." "Then I will help defend the fortress." Safia descended the steps. "You are the king's heir. Your presence may stop them from attacking." Malik looked at the soldiers appearing on the road below. "You do not know my father." A palace commander rode ahead of the approaching army. He lifted a white cloth. "In the name of King Jabari, open the gates and surrender the captive." Malik stepped onto the wall beside Safia. "She is under my protection." The commander looked up. "Your Highness, the king has ordered you to return." "And the woman?" "She belongs to the crown." Zuri's face hardened. Malik drew his sword. "She belongs to herself." The commander raised his hand. The soldiers below lifted their bows. Zuri looked at Malik. He had come searching for answers. Now he stood between her and his father's army. The commander's voice thundered across the mountain. "Open the gates, or we will take the fortress by force." Safia turned to Malik. "If the first arrow is fired, your family will be at war with itself." Malik looked at Zuri, then at the royal soldiers below. "Perhaps it already is." Chapter 6. The First Arrow. The palace commander remained beneath the fortress walls. "Prince Malik," he called, "this is your final warning. Surrender the captive and return to the palace." Malik stood beside Safia with his sword drawn. "Her name is Zuri." The commander's horse shifted beneath him. "Your father has declared her property of the crown. No person belongs to the crown." A murmur passed through Safia's soldiers. Below, the royal archers kept their arrows aimed at the walls. Zuri stepped forward. "Let me go to them." Malik turned sharply. "No. People will die if I remain here. This is no longer only about you. It began because of me. It began because my father believes he can burn villages, sell prisoners, and seize anyone who challenges him." Zuri looked down at the soldiers. "If I surrender, perhaps he will leave the fortress." Safia shook her head. "Jabari sent 30 armed men into land belonging to Adanna's family. He has already chosen war." The commander lifted his voice again. "We will count to 10. Malik stared down at him. "You served my grandfather." "I serve the king." "You serve the crown," Malik replied, "and the crown belongs to my mother's bloodline." The commander hesitated. Several soldiers looked at one another. Malik had struck the wound Jabari tried to hide. Jabari wore the crown, but Adanna's blood had given it to him. "One," the commander shouted. Inside the courtyard, Mama Eshi stood near the infirmary door. Her hands trembled. Zuri noticed. "Are you afraid?" Mama Esha forced a smile. "I have survived raids, chains, and traders. I would be foolish not to fear soldiers." Zuri took her hand. "We will survive this too." Mama Esha looked at their joined hands. Guilt flickered across her face. Then she pulled away gently. "You should remain close to the infirmary." "Why?" "Because wounded men will soon need you." 8. The archers below tightened their bows. Safia raised her hand. Her soldiers prepared to fire. Malik looked at the commander. "Do not do this." 9. A single arrow flew from the royal soldiers. The commander had not given the order. It struck a young fortress guard in the chest. He fell from the wall. For one stunned moment, both armies remained silent. Then Safia lowered her hand. Fire! Arrows rained down from the fortress. The royal soldiers scattered behind rocks and shields. The commander turned furiously. "Who fired first?" No one answered. Another arrow flew towards Malik. Sefu shoved him aside. The arrow struck the stone where his head had been. "They are aiming at you," Sefu said. Malik looked down at the royal formation. "This is not father's command. You sound disappointed." Malik raised his shield as another arrow struck it. Kellen. Below, royal soldiers dragged ladders towards the walls. Safia's archers fired while men pushed heavy stones over the edge. The mountain filled with screams. Zuri ran towards the guard who had fallen. Blood spread beneath him. She pressed both hands against the wound. "Bring cloth." Mama Esha hurried from the infirmary carrying torn linen. "He is not breathing," she said. "He will." Zuri pressed harder. The guard coughed. Blood spilled from his mouth. Zuri looked into his frightened eyes. "Stay with me." More wounded soldiers were carried into the courtyard. Some wore Safia's colors. Others wore the royal emblem. Safia's men hesitated before bringing an injured enemy soldier towards Zuri. "He came to capture you," one guard said. "He is still bleeding." Zuri pointed towards an empty table. "Put him there." Mama Esha watched her. "You would heal the men trying to put you in chains. I am a healer before they are soldiers." The old woman lowered her eyes. "You have always had a dangerous heart." The royal soldiers reached the outer wall. Malik moved along the battlements, cutting the ropes attached to their ladders. A fortress guard beside him was barely 16. The boy stared over the wall, frozen. "Move back," Malik ordered. "I can fight." "You can barely hold that spear." The boy lifted it with shaking hands. "My father is below." Malik looked down. "In the name of King Jabari, open the gates and surrender the captive." Malik stepped onto the wall beside Safia. "She is under my protection." The commander looked up. "Your Highness, the king has ordered you to return." "And the woman?" "She belongs to the crown." Zuri's face hardened. Malik drew his sword. "She belongs to herself." The commander raised his hand. The soldiers below lifted their bows. Zuri looked at Malik. He had come searching for answers. Now he stood between her and his father's army. The commander's voice thundered across the mountain. "Open the gates, or we will take the fortress by force." Safia turned to Malik. "If the first arrow is fired, your family will be at war with itself." Malik looked at Zuri, then at the royal soldiers below. "Perhaps it already is." Chapter 6. The First Arrow. The palace commander remained beneath the fortress walls. "Prince Malik," he called, "this is your final warning. Surrender the captive and return to the palace." Malik stood beside Safia with his sword drawn. "Her name is Zuri." The commander's horse shifted beneath him. "Your father has declared her property of the crown." "No person belongs to the crown." A murmur passed through Safia's soldiers. Below, the royal archers kept their arrows aimed at the walls. Zuri stepped forward. "Let me go to them." Malik turned sharply. "No. People will die if I remain here. This is no longer only about you. It began because of me. It began because my father believes he can burn villages, sell prisoners, and seize anyone who challenges him." Zuri looked down at the soldiers. "If I surrender, perhaps he will leave the fortress." Safia shook her head. "Jabari sent 30 armed men into land belonging to Adanna's family. He has already chosen war." The commander lifted his voice again. "We will count to 10. Malik stared down at him. "You served my grandfather." "I serve the king." "You serve the crown," Malik replied, "and the crown belongs to my mother's bloodline." The commander hesitated. Several soldiers looked at one another. Malik had struck the wound Jabari tried to hide. Jabari wore the crown, but Adanna's blood had given it to him. "One," the commander shouted. Inside the courtyard, Mama Eshi stood near the infirmary door. Her hands trembled. Zuri noticed. "Are you afraid?" Mama Esha forced a smile. "I have survived raids, chains, and traders. I would be foolish not to fear soldiers." Zuri took her hand. "We will survive this too." Mama Esha looked at their joined hands. Guilt flickered across her face. Then she pulled away gently. "You should remain close to the infirmary." "Why?" "Because wounded men will soon need you." 8. The archers below tightened their bows. Safia raised her hand. Her soldiers prepared to fire. Malik looked at the commander. "Do not do this." 9. A single arrow flew from the royal soldiers. The commander had not given the order. It struck a young fortress guard in the chest. He fell from the wall. For one stunned moment, both armies remained silent. Then Safia lowered her hand. Fire! Arrows rained down from the fortress. The royal soldiers scattered behind rocks and shields. The commander turned furiously. Who fired first? No one answered. Another arrow flew towards Malik. Sefu shoved him aside. The arrow struck the stone where his head had been. They are aiming at you, Sefu said. Malik looked down at the royal formation. This is not father's command. You sound disappointed. Malik raised his shield as another arrow struck it. Kellen. Below, royal soldiers dragged ladders towards the walls. Safia's archers fired while men pushed heavy stones over the edge. The mountain filled with screams. Zuri ran towards the guard who had fallen. Blood spread beneath him. She pressed both hands against the wound. Bring cloth. Mama Esha hurried from the infirmary carrying torn linen. He is not breathing, she said. He will. Zuri pressed harder. The guard coughed. Blood spilled from his mouth. Zuri looked into his frightened eyes. Stay with me. More wounded soldiers were carried into the courtyard. Some wore Safia's colors. Others wore the royal emblem. Safia's men hesitated before bringing an injured enemy soldier towards Zuri. He came to capture you, one guard said. He is still bleeding. Zuri pointed towards an empty table. Put him there. Mama Esha watched her. You would heal the men trying to put you in chains. I am a healer before they are soldiers. The old woman lowered her eyes. You have always had a dangerous heart. The royal soldiers reached the outer wall. Malik moved along the battlements, cutting the ropes attached to their ladders. A fortress guard beside him was barely 16. The boy stared over the wall, frozen. Move back, Malik ordered. I can fight. You can barely hold that spear. The boy lifted it with shaking hands. My father is below. Malik looked down. A royal soldier wearing a captain's helmet was climbing towards them. You are fighting against your father. He said he would kill my mother if I did not join Safia. Before Malik could answer, an arrow flew towards the boy. Malik pulled him aside. The arrow struck Malik's shoulder. He staggered backwards. Your Highness, Sifu caught him before he fell. Malik snapped the wooden shaft. I am fine. You have an arrow inside you. I noticed. Sifu dragged him towards the stairs. The fortress will survive without you for a few breaths. Malik glanced towards the young guard. Keep him away from the wall. The boy stared at the blood running down Malik's arm. You saved me. Do not make me regret it. Zuri was stitching a wounded soldier's leg when Sifu carried Malik into the infirmary. Make room. Zuri looked up. Her hands froze. Malik's face had lost color. An arrowhead remained buried in his shoulder. What happened? He decided his body was a shield, Sefu replied. Malik forced himself upright. A boy was in the way. Zuri pointed towards the table. Lie down. I can sit. Lie down, Prince. Despite the pain, Malik almost smiled. You enjoy commanding me. I enjoy treating patients who obey. Mama Esha helped remove Malik's bloodied clothing from his shoulder. Zuri examined the wound. The arrowhead is deep. Can you remove it? Sifu asked. Yes. Malik looked at the metal instruments near her hand. Will it hurt? Greatly. I appreciate your honesty. Zuri cleaned the wound. Malik's body tensed, but he did not cry out. Outside, arrows struck the fortress walls. Men shouted from the battlements. Zuri gripped the broken shaft. Hold him. Sefu pressed Malik against the table. Zuri pulled. Malik groaned through clenched teeth. The arrowhead came free. Blood poured from the wound. Mama Esha handed Zuri clean cloth. For several moments, Zuri focused only on stopping the bleeding. Malik watched her face. You should have stayed hidden, he whispered. And let others bleed for me? You are carrying a child. That does not make me useless. I did not say it did. You thought it. Malik shook his head. I thought it made your life more important than mine. Zuri looked at him. For a brief moment, the battle outside seemed distant. No one had called her life important since the raid. She returned her attention to the wound. The arrow missed the bone. Then I was fortunate. The boy was fortunate. Malik studied her. Does the child's father know you are alive? Zuri's hands stopped. Mama Aisha glanced towards her. Malik immediately noticed the change in the room. You do not have to answer. Zuri continued rapping his shoulder. He knows enough. Will he come for you? The man I trusted no longer exists. Malik assumed she spoke of a coward from her village, a man who had filled her with promises and disappeared when danger arrived. Did he abandon you? Zuri tied the bandage tightly. He abandoned the person he pretended to be. Malik looked into her eyes. I am sorry. Do not be. Why? Pity is another kind of chain. It's not pity. Zuri held his gaze. Something warm and dangerous passed between them. She looked away first. You need rest. My family is attacking the walls and bleeding on my tables. I should be outside. You will tear the wound open. Malik attempted to rise. Zuri pressed him back. I said rest. Sefu folded his arms. I like her. Malik glared at him. You may leave. I suddenly feel safer here. Safia entered the infirmary with 2 guards dragging a wounded royal archer between them. His hands were tied. We captured him near the western wall. Malik recognized the man. Captain Rami. Rami lowered his head. You fired the first arrow, Safia said. The captain said nothing. Safia pressed a knife against his throat. My commander did not order the attack. Who did? Rami looked towards Malik. Fear filled his face. I was given gold. By whom? Malik asked. Rami swallowed. Prince Kellen. The infirmary fell silent. Malik slowly stood despite Zuri's protest. What did my brother order? To begin the battle. And? Rami looked towards the ground. If you died inside the fortress, your death would be blamed on Lady Safia. Sefu drew his sword. I will remove Kellen's head myself. Malik stopped him. Who else is working for him? Rami's breathing became uneven. Someone inside the fortress. Safia stepped closer. Who? I never saw the person. Kellen said the gates would be opened when the sun touched the western tower. Everyone turned towards the window. The sun was already sinking. Safia shouted to her guards, secure every entrance. The men rushed from the infirmary. Zuri looked around. Mama Aisha? The old woman was gone. Mama Aisha hurried through the narrow passage beneath the kitchens. Every step made her heart beat harder. She remembered Kellen visiting her outside the prison cells before Zuri had been taken. The prince had ordered the guards away. You are old, he had told her. The traders will work you until your body fails. Mama Aisha had stared through the bars. What do you want? Information. I know nothing. You know Zuri. She barely knows herself. Kellen crouched beside the cell. Help me, and you will never wear chains again. Mama Aisha had laughed. Princes make promises easily. I will give you a house in the capital, servants, money enough to live without begging. And what must I do? Stay close to Zuri. He had slipped a small iron key through the bars. When the time comes, open the fortress service gate. Mama Aisha had taken it. She had told herself she deserved comfort after a lifetime of suffering. She had told herself Zuri would be protected by the queen, Malik, and the child growing inside her. She had told herself many things. Now she reached the service gate. Royal soldiers waited on the other side. One of them whispered through the wood. Open it. Mama Aisha pushed the key into the lock. Her hand would not turn. Then she remembered the house Kellen had promised. A bed of her own. Food every day. No chains. No masters. She turned the key. Zuri found Mama Aisha near the gate. The heavy wooden bar had already been lifted. What are you doing? Mama Aisha froze. Zuri saw the iron key in her hand. The truth struck her slowly. You told Kellen where Malik was going. Mama Aisha's eyes filled with tears. I did not know he would send an army. You led them here. I was promised freedom. You were already free from the wagon. For how long? Mama Esha's voice broke. Until the queen changed her mind? Until King Jabari found us? Until another trader came? Zuri stepped closer. I refused to leave the palace without you. You are young. Mama Esha wiped her tears angrily. You have a prince standing between you and the king. You have a queen protecting your child. You have people fighting over whether you live. I had you. Mama Ishi looked away. You had everyone. No. Zuri's voice trembled. I trusted you. The soldiers outside struck the gate. Mama Isha tightened her grip on the key. Kellen promised me a house and enough money to live without fear. He promised me love. Mama Isha looked at her. Zuri placed a hand over her stomach. Men like him and Jabari promise whatever opens the door. The gate shook again. Mama Esha began crying. I am tired, Zuri. So am I. I do not want to die poor and forgotten. Then help me close the gate. Mama Esha looked at the open lock. For one moment, it seemed she might obey. Then a sword pierced through the gap in the doors. Mama Esha screamed and stepped backwards. The soldiers outside pushed. Zuri grabbed the wooden bar, but it was too heavy to lift alone. Mama Esha! The old woman stared at her. Then she turned and ran. The service gate burst open. Royal soldiers flooded into the fortress. Zuri fell beneath the broken door. A soldier reached for her. Before he could seize her, Malik appeared and struck him down with his sword. Blood soaked through the bandage around his shoulder. You opened your wound, Zuri said. I will be fine. More soldiers entered behind him. Sefu and Safia's guards rushed into the passage. Steel clashed inside the narrow corridor. Malik pulled Zuri to her feet. Stay behind me. You can barely lift your arm. Then pray they attack from the other side. A royal officer entered through the gate. He was not looking at Safia. He was not looking at Zuri. His eyes settled on Malik. Kellen sends his regards. He raised his spear. Malik pushed Zuri aside. The spear flew towards his chest. Chapter 7. The spear flew towards Malik's chest. Sefu struck it aside with his sword. The spear changed direction and buried itself in his thigh. Sefu fell. Kill the prince, the royal officer shouted. Malik charged despite the blood soaking through his shoulder bandage. Their swords collided inside the narrow pass. Zuri dropped beside Sefu. Do not pull it out. I was not planning to, he groaned. Royal soldiers flooded through the broken gate. Safia's guards fought to hold them back, but they were being forced deeper into the fortress. Safia appeared at the end of the corridor. Malik, move. She threw a knife. It struck the royal officer in the arm. Malik knocked the man's sword away and pressed his blade against his throat. Who gave you the order to kill me? The officer laughed. You already know. Kellen. He promised to make me commander when he becomes king. Malik's expression hardened. You murdered your own soldiers to begin this battle. They were necessary losses. The officer reached for a hidden knife. Malik struck him before he could use it. The man collapsed. Safia looked towards the open gate. We cannot hold this passage. Malik returned to Sefu. Together, he and Zuri lifted him. We moved to the inner courtyard, Safia ordered. Seal every door behind us. What about Mama Esha? Zuri asked. Safia's face hardened. She opened the gate. She may still be inside. She made her choice. Zuri looked towards the smoke filling the passage. Mama Esha had betrayed her, yet part of her still remembered the old woman sitting beside her in the prison, sharing food and whispering encouragement. I am finding her. Malik caught Zuri's arm. You cannot go back there. She cannot move quickly. She brought these soldiers inside, and Kellen will kill her once she is no longer useful. Malik studied Zuri. You would risk your life for someone who betrayed you. I am not risking my life for what she did. Zuri placed a hand over her stomach. I am doing it because I refuse to become the kind of person who only protects those who deserve it. Malik looked at her for a long moment. Then he handed Sifu to 2 fortress guards. Take him to the infirmary. Zuri stared at him. What are you doing? Making another reckless decision. Safia blocked their path. You are the heir. If you die, Jabari wins. If I leave her alone, I will become my father. Safia looked from Malik to Zuri. Then she cursed under her breath and drew her second sword. We go together. Mama Esha ran through the kitchens as fighting spread across the fortress. Servants hid beneath tables. Smoke entered through the windows and shattered pottery covered the floor. She reached the courtyard and found 3 royal soldiers waiting. Relief crossed her face. I opened the gate. The soldiers surrounded her. Prince Kellen promised that I would be protected. Their leader looked at her stained clothing. You are Mama Isha? Yes. He drew his sword. Her relief vanished. What are you doing? Our orders were to enter through the gate and silence the person who opened it. Mama Isha stepped backwards. No, he promised me a house. The soldier smiled. Kellen promises many things. Mama Isha turned to run. A soldier caught her by the hair and forced her to her knees. Please, I did what he asked. That is why you cannot remain alive to speak about it. He raised his sword. An arrow struck his shoulder. He fell with a cry. Safia entered the courtyard, firing another arrow at the second soldier. Malik attacked the third. Mama Isha crawled away as blades clashed around her. Zuri reached her and pulled her behind an overturned cart. Mama Isha stared at her. You came back? I should not have needed to. Tears ran down the old woman's face. He was going to kill me. Of course he was, but he promised. Zuri's voice became cold. So did Jabari. Mama Esha lowered her head. I am sorry. Sorry will not bring back the soldiers who died when you opened that gate. I was afraid. So was I when I refused to leave the palace without you. Mama Esha reached for her. Zuri pulled away. I saved your life. That does not mean I forgive you. A soldier crashed into the cart beside them. Zuri helped Mama Isha stand. Can you walk? Slowly. Then walk quickly. Malik disarmed the final soldier. Before he could question him, an arrow struck the man from behind. He collapsed. Safia looked towards the roof. A masked archer disappeared behind the tower. They are killing their own men, Malik said. Kellen does not want anyone surviving who can connect him to this attack. A horn sounded from the outer wall. Then another. Safia's face changed. That is not ours. A fortress guard ran into the courtyard. More soldiers are climbing from the eastern path. How many? Nearly 50. Malik looked towards the burning service gate. This was never a rescue mission. No, Safia replied. It was an execution. Zuri supported Mama Isha as they approached. Kellen wants Malik dead. Mama Isha nodded weakly. He asked me to report whenever the prince came near Zuri. Malik looked at her. You knew he planned this? I knew he wanted you followed. I did not know he intended to kill you. What else did he ask? To listen, to tell him whether Zuri spoke about her child. Malik glanced towards Zuri. Why would Kellen care about the child's father? Mama Esh opened her mouth. Zuri gripped her arm tightly. The old woman understood the warning. I do not know, Mama Esh answered. Malik studied both women. He knew something had passed between them. Before he could question it, the eastern gates shook. Safia turned towards the fortress guards. Move everyone into the lower tunnels. Malik looked at her. There are tunnels beneath this place? This fortress belonged to my grandfather. Our family never built a palace without an exit. Mama Isha laughed weakly. Royal people hide roads beneath everything. Safia stared at her. And yet you found the only gate that should have remained closed. Mama Isha lowered her eyes. They entered the tunnels through a stone door beneath the infirmary. Safia's soldiers carried the wounded while servants guided children through the darkness. Sefu lay on a wooden stretcher, the spear still lodged in his thigh. He looked at Malik. "You left me alone with frightened healers. You survived." "Barely. One of them suggested removing my leg." A young healer walking beside him looked offended. "I said we might remove it if the wound turns black." Sefu stared at Malik. "You see what I endured." Despite everything, Malik smiled. Zuri walked several steps ahead with Mama Isha. The old woman's breathing grew heavier. "You need to rest," Zuri said. "We cannot stop. You will collapse. Perhaps Safia will leave me for the soldiers. She has reason to." Mama Isha looked at her. "And you do not?" Zuri said nothing. They reached a place where the tunnel was divided. One path descended towards the valley. The other climbed towards the northern ridge. Safia pointed towards the lower path. "The wounded and servants will travel to the river settlement." Malik looked towards the rising passage. "And that one?" "It leads to an abandoned watchtower overlooking the capital road." "What are you planning?" "To find out whether this attack came from Jabari or Kellen." Malik shook his head. "The soldiers wore my father's colors. Colors can be stolen. Orders can be forged. My father sent the first army. Yes, but Kellen turned it into a battle and ordered your death." Safia faced him. "If we return to the palace without proof, Jabari will call you a traitor and Kellen will call you a coward." Zuri folded her arms. "Then what proof do we need?" Safia looked at Mama Isha. "The person Kellen bribed." Mama Isha's face filled with fear. "You want me to testify? You opened my gate and caused the deaths of my people." Safia stepped closer. "You will speak before the royal council. Kellen will kill me. He already tried." Mama Isha looked towards Zuri. "You would take me back to the palace?" Zuri's expression remained firm. "You wanted a house in the capital." The old woman flinched. "Now you will return and tell the truth about how you tried to earn it." At the palace, Kellen entered his father's private chamber. Jabari stood near the balcony, waiting for news. "Well?" the king asked. "The fortress has fallen." "And Malik?" Kellen lowered his eyes carefully. "The fighting was severe." Jabari turned. "Is my son alive?" "No body has been found." "That was not my question." Kellen allowed silence to answer for him. Jabari crossed the room and seized his robe. "What did you do?" "I did what you refused to do. I removed the threat. Malik is the heir." "Malik challenged you before guards and prisoners. He defended the woman who humiliated you." Jabari shoved him away. "You were ordered to bring him back." "I was ordered to protect the throne." "The throne does not belong to you." Kellen's face hardened. "Not yet." Jabari stared at him. For the first time, he saw not a resentful younger son, but a rival. "You will tell no one Malik may be dead." "Why?" "Because Adanna's family will blame me." Kellen smiled faintly. "They already should." Jabari struck him. Kellen slowly turned back. Unlike Malik, he smiled after the blow. "You taught us that power belongs to the man willing to take it." Jabari lowered his hand. "I taught you obedience." "No, you taught us to stomp the weak." Kellen moved towards the door. "Perhaps you should begin preparing the kingdom for a new heir." After he left, Adanna stepped from behind the curtain leading to her private chamber. She had heard everything. Jabari froze. "Adanna." Her face showed no grief. That frightened him more. "You sent soldiers after my son. I sent them for Zuri. Kellen sent them to murder Malik. I did not know. You never know what your cruelty creates until it turns towards your own house." Jabari approached her. "Malik may still be alive." "He is." Jabari stopped. Adanna had answered too quickly. You know where he is. She looked towards the royal throne. I know my son is harder to kill than yours believes. Jabari's eyes narrowed. What are you planning? Adanna faced him. For 18 years, you have mistaken my silence for weakness. She removed the royal ring from her finger and placed it on the table. My father gave you a crown because he trusted your bloodline. Her voice became colder. That trust ends tonight. In the mountain tunnel, Malik walked beside Zuri. The torchlight softened the exhaustion on her face. You stopped Mama Isha from answering me, he said. Zuri kept walking. She is frightened. She knows something about your child. Zuri's hand moved instinctively towards her stomach. Malik noticed. I am not asking because Kellen did. Then why are you asking? Because every person around you seems willing to kill, betray, or begin a war over a child who has not yet been born. Zuri looked at him. And you? I nearly died because I chose to stand beside you. I did not ask you to. No. He stepped closer. That is becoming the problem. Zuri's breathing changed. For one brief moment, neither moved. Malik looked at her as though he wanted to say something he did not yet understand. Zuri turned away. Do not confuse danger with affection. I am trying not to. And? I am failing. The answer unsettled her. She continued walking. Malik followed. Neither saw Mama Esha watching them from farther down the tunnel. The old woman now understood why Kellen feared Zuri. It was not only because of the child she carried. Malik was already beginning to love her, and when he discovered who had fathered that child, the royal family would not merely divide. It would shatter. Chapter 8. The child's father. The royal council gathered before sunrise. King Jabari sat on the throne while Queen Adanna remained beside him, wearing the ancient crown of her bloodline. Kellen stood before the elders. My brother attacked royal soldiers, sheltered a dangerous captive, and joined Lady Sophia's rebellion, he declared. He has abandoned his right to inherit. Several elders murmured in agreement. Jabari raised his hand. Until Malik returns and answers these accusations, Kellen will serve as heir. Adanna stood. You cannot replace my son without proof that he betrayed the kingdom. Kellen smiled. The bodies at Sophia's fortress are proof. The council doors suddenly opened. Malik entered. His shoulder was bandaged and dried blood covered his clothing. Zuri walked beside him. Sophia followed with several armed guards. Mama Esha came last, her hands tied. The council chamber erupted. Kellen stepped backwards. You are alive. Malik drew his sword. You sound disappointed. Jabari rose from the throne. Lower your weapon. Malik looked at him. Did you know Kellen ordered soldiers to kill me? Jabari turned towards Kellen. What is he talking about? Sophia pushed Mama Isha forward. Tell them. Mama Esha trembled before the council. Kellen promised me freedom, a house and money if I followed Zuri and reported everything she did. Kellen laughed. You expect the council to believe a slave? Mama Esha lifted her head. You gave me the key that opened Sophia's gate. She removed the iron key from inside her clothing and threw it onto the floor. Several elders recognized the royal armory mark. Malik faced his brother. You ordered the attack. Kellen's smile disappeared. You chose a captive over your own family. I chose innocent people over you. You chose her. Kellen pointed towards Zuri. You nearly died for a woman carrying another man's child. Malik stepped between him and Zuri. Do not speak about her. Kellen saw the answer in Malik's face. You love her. The chamber fell silent. Zuri looked at Malik. He did not deny it. Kellen began laughing. This is better than I imagined. Malik raised his sword. Say what you came to say. Kellen turned towards the council. My brother wants to protect Zuri. He may even want to marry her. Jabari moved from the throne. Kellen, enough. Kellen looked at his father. Why? Are you afraid he will discover the truth? Zuri's face changed. Adanna immediately understood what Kellen intended to do. Guards, she ordered. Remove him. The guards hesitated. Some served Jabari. Others belonged to Adanna's royal household. Kellen raised his voice before anyone could move. Ask Zuri who fathered her child. Malik turned towards her. Zuri could not meet his eyes. Zuri. Jabari descended the steps. This has nothing to do with the council. Malik looked between them. His breathing changed. What does my father have to do with your child? Zuri's eyes filled with tears. Malik, tell me. She had feared this moment from the day he first showed her kindness. She had watched him risk his life for her. She had allowed herself to believe he was different. Now the truth stood between them like a blade. Before the raid, a traveler came to my village, she said. He called himself Jabba. Malik slowly looked at his father. Zuri continued. He told me he was unmarried. He promised to return for me. No, Malik whispered. He made me believe we would build a home together. Jabari stepped forward. She is twisting what happened. Zuri faced him. You lied about your name. Jabari said nothing. You lied about your wife. Silence. You lied about your sons. Malik's sword lowered. Zuri placed a hand over her stomach. This child belongs to King Jabari. The truth ripped through the council chamber. Malik stared at his father, then at Zuri. Every conversation returned to him. Her anger whenever she spoke Jabari's name, her refusal to identify the father, her warning that the truth would destroy more than lies. You knew, Malik said. Zuri stepped towards him. I wanted to tell you. When? Her answer failed to come. After I defended you. Malik. After I fell in love with you. Zuri froze. He had finally spoken the word. It should have changed everything. Instead, it broke them. I was afraid, she whispered. Malik laughed bitterly. Everyone in this family uses fear to excuse betrayal. Malik looked at her as though he wanted to say something he did not yet understand. Zuri turned away. Do not confuse danger with affection. I am trying not to. And? I am failing. The answer unsettled her. She continued walking. Malik followed. Neither saw Mama Esha watching them from farther down the tunnel. The old woman now understood why Kellen feared Zuri. It was not only because of the child she carried. Malik was already beginning to love her, and when he discovered who had fathered that child, the royal family would not merely divide. It would shatter. Chapter 8. The child's father. The royal council gathered before sunrise. King Jabari sat on the throne while Queen Adanna remained beside him, wearing the ancient crown of her bloodline. Kellen stood before the elders. My brother attacked royal soldiers, sheltered a dangerous captive, and joined Lady Sophia's rebellion, he declared. He has abandoned his right to inherit. Several elders murmured in agreement. Jabari raised his hand. Until Malik returns and answers these accusations, Kellen will serve as heir. Adanna stood. You cannot replace my son without proof that he betrayed the kingdom. Kellen smiled. The bodies at Sophia's fortress are proof. The council doors suddenly opened. Malik entered. His shoulder was bandaged and dried blood covered his clothing. Zuri walked beside him. Sophia followed with several armed guards. Mama Esha came last, her hands tied. The council chamber erupted. Kellen stepped backwards. You are alive. Malik drew his sword. You sound disappointed. Jabari rose from the throne. Lower your weapon. Malik looked at him. Did you know Kellen ordered soldiers to kill me? Jabari turned towards Kellen. What is he talking about? Sophia pushed Mama Esha forward. Tell them. Mama Esha trembled before the council. Kellen promised me freedom, a house and money if I followed Zuri and reported everything she did. Kellen laughed. You expect the council to believe a slave? Mama Esha lifted her head. You gave me the key that opened Safia's gate. She removed the iron key from inside her clothing and threw it onto the floor. Several elders recognized the royal armory mark. Malik faced his brother. You ordered the attack. Kellen's smile disappeared. You chose a captive over your own family. I chose innocent people over you. You chose her. Kellen pointed towards Zuri. You nearly died for a woman carrying another man's child. Malik stepped between him and Zuri. Do not speak about her. Kellen saw the answer in Malik's face. You love her. The chamber fell silent. Zuri looked at Malik. He did not deny it. Kellen began laughing. This is better than I imagined. Malik raised his sword. Say what you came to say. Kellen turned towards the council. My brother wants to protect Zuri. He may even want to marry her. Jabari moved from the throne. Kellen, enough. Kellen looked at his father. Why? Are you afraid he will discover the truth? Zuri's face changed. Adanna immediately understood what Kellen intended to do. Guards, she ordered. Remove him. The guards hesitated. Some served Jabari. Others belonged to Adanna's royal household. Kellen raised his voice before anyone could move. Ask Zuri who fathered her child. Malik turned towards her. Zuri could not meet his eyes. Zuri. Jabari descended the steps. This has nothing to do with the council. Malik looked between them. His breathing changed. What does my father have to do with your child? Zuri's eyes filled with tears. Malik, tell me. She had feared this moment from the day he first showed her kindness. She had watched him risk his life for her. She had allowed herself to believe he was different. Now the truth stood between them like a blade. Before the raid, a traveler came to my village, she said. He called himself Jabba. Malik slowly looked at his father. Zuri continued. He told me he was unmarried. He promised to return for me. No, Malik whispered. He made me believe we would build a home together. Jabari stepped forward. She is twisting what happened. Zuri faced him. You lied about your name. Jabari said nothing. You lied about your wife. Silence. You lied about your sons. Malik's sword lowered. Zuri placed a hand over her stomach. This child belongs to King Jabari. The truth ripped through the council chamber. Malik stared at his father, then at Zuri. Every conversation returned to him. Her anger whenever she spoke Jabari's name, her refusal to identify the father, her warning that the truth would destroy more than lies. You knew, Malik said. Zuri stepped towards him. I wanted to tell you. When? Her answer failed to come. After I defended you. Malik. After I fell in love with you. Zuri froze. He had finally spoken the word. It should have changed everything. Instead, it broke them. I was afraid, she whispered. Malik laughed bitterly. Everyone in this family uses fear to excuse betrayal. He turned towards Jabari. You watched me stand beside her. Jabari's face hardened. You allowed emotion to weaken you. You knew she carried your child. The child is illegitimate. Zuri struck him across the face. The council gasped. Jabari raised his hand to hit her. Malik placed his sword against his father's throat. Touch her. Jabari stared at him. You would threaten your king for your father's lover. Pain crossed Malik's face, but his sword remained steady. You are not speaking to your son anymore. Adanna stepped down from the throne. For 18 years, she had watched Jabari turn her inheritance into his kingdom. Now his lies had finally destroyed the family he claimed to protect. She faced the council. Jabari entered this palace through marriage to me. He rules because my father trusted his family. She removed Jabari's royal ring from the ceremonial table. That trust has been broken. Jabari turned towards her. You cannot remove me. The crown existed before you. Adanna looked towards the royal guards. King Jabari is to be confined until the council decides whether he remains fit to rule. Half the guards drew their swords, the other half did not move. Jabari smiled coldly. You should have counted them before making that order. His commander closed the council doors. Armed soldiers appeared along the upper balcony. Safiya drew both swords. You prepared for this. Jabari looked at Adanna. I prepared for the day you remembered the crown belonged to you. Kellen moved towards the throne. Father, name me heir, and I will end this rebellion. Jabari looked at him with disgust. You tried to murder your brother. I did what was necessary. You did what benefits you. Kellen's eyes settled on the crown. Is there a difference? He suddenly drew a knife and seized Adanna. The blade pressed against her throat. Neela and Safiya raised their weapons. Move, Kellen warned, and the queen dies. Jabari stared at his son. You would kill your own mother? Kellen tightened his grip. She has only ever loved Malik, her precious son. His eyes moved towards Malik. Kellen, stop this madness. Malik stepped forward. Release her. Drop your sword. Malik hesitated. Zuri touched his arm. Kellen will kill her anyway. Kellen smiled. At last, the captive understands the game. Mama Esha moved unnoticed behind him. She looked at Zuri, then at the man whose promises had turned her into a traitor. Kellen had offered her freedom. Zuri had risked her life to save her without demanding anything. Mama Isha grabbed Kellen's knife arm. Adanna pulled free. The knife cut Mama Isha across the stomach. Malik attacked. Kellen escaped behind the throne as soldiers flooded the chamber. Safiya's guards met them with steel. The royal council scattered. Zuri dropped beside Mama Esha. Blood spread across the old woman's clothing. I told you he would never give you that house, Zuri whispered. Mama Esha managed a weak smile. I should have believed you. A horn thundered outside the palace. Then another answered from the city walls. Safiya looked through the open window. Kellen's soldiers were closing the gates. Jabari's forces occupied the courtyard. Adanna's supporters were gathering beyond the palace. The kingdom had split into 3 armies. Jabari reached for the crown. Malik placed his sword over it. No one wears it today. Father and son stared at each other across the throne. Behind them, Kellen disappeared into the palace with soldiers loyal to him. Adanna stood beside Zuri and Mama Isha. Adanna stood beside Zuri and the wounded Mama Isha. Where is he going? Zuri asked. Adanna looked towards the palace courtyard. To gather every soldier still loyal to him. Another horn thundered from outside. The palace gates slammed shut. From the upper balcony, Kellen appeared before a line of armed soldiers. Prince Malik has returned with rebels, he shouted. He has threatened the king and attacked the royal family. Malik stepped towards the balcony. You ordered my murder. Kellen ignored him. Anyone who supports Malik will be treated as an enemy of the crown. More soldiers flooded the courtyard. Jabari's commander raised his sword, but his men did not move together. Some stood behind the king, others crossed towards Kellen. Outside the gates, Adanna's supporters demanded entry. The palace had been divided into 3 sides. Jabari reached for the crown. Malik placed his sword over it. No one wears it today. Jabari stared at his son. You think exposing my mistake makes you king? Malik's eyes moved towards Zuri. She was not your mistake. She was a woman you deceived. Zuri rose from beside Mama Isha. And my village was not destroyed by mistake. The council chamber doors burst open. Kellen's soldiers entered with their weapons raised. Safiya and her guards formed a wall around Adanna. Malik stood between Jabari and Zuri, though the truth had shattered whatever had begun growing between them. Kellen pointed his sword towards his brother. Kill Malik. Take Zuri alive. Malik tightened his grip on his weapon. Zuri picked up the knife Mama Esha had dropped. Outside, the people struck the palace gates while smoke rose from the courtyard. The crown remained untouched between father and son. The final battle had begun. Chapter 9. The Prince's Trap. Kellen stood inside the royal armory while Commander Baraka studied a map of the palace. Baraka was the commander Kellen trusted most. He had served beside him during border wars and had quietly recruited soldiers who valued gold more than loyalty. Small stones had been placed across the map. One marked the council chamber, another marked the lower compound. The largest rested over the palace gates. Baraka moved it towards the courtyard. "Your men control the eastern wall and the armory," he said, "but Safia still has soldiers surrounding the queen. They will be trapped once we close the inner passage." "And the king?" Kellen smiled. "My father remains useful. You intend to protect him?" "I intend to keep him alive until he names me heir before the council." Baraka looked towards the door. "King Jabari will never surrender the crown willingly. He will when Malik is dead and Adanna is imprisoned." Kellen picked up another stone and placed it over the servants' quarters. "My mother's authority comes from her blood. As long as she remains free, half the kingdom will refuse me." "What will you do with her?" "Confine her. She will either recognize me as heir or spend the rest of her life watching me rule from behind a locked door." Baraka pointed towards the stone representing Malik. "The prince has Safia's guards around him." "Not for long." Kellen moved the stone towards the old throne courtyard. "We take Zuri." Baraka raised an eyebrow. "The captive?" "Malik will follow her. He knows it will be a trap. He also knows I will kill her." Kellen smiled. "That is why he will come." Baraka glanced at the final stone. "And after Malik is dead, Zuri dies. The king may object." Kellen laughed. "My father would rather light the fire himself." He lifted the stone representing Zuri and dropped it from the table. "Her death removes the evidence of his affair. The child dies with her, and the royal family returns to pretending its shame never existed." Baraka studied him carefully. "You sound as though you despise the king." "I studied him." Kellen moved closer. "He married a princess to become king. He lied, threatened and sold innocent people to keep his crown. His eyes settled on the royal weapons lining the wall. He taught me that power belongs to whoever is willing to take it." Baraka bowed his head. "And if Malik refuses to surrender, kill Zuri in front of him." Kellen picked up his sword. "Then kill him while grief makes him careless." Inside the council chamber, Safia's guards held back Kellen's soldiers. Blades struck shields as men fought between overturned chairs. Adanna knelt beside Mama Isha. Blood soaked through the cloth pressed against the old woman's stomach. Zuri tightened the bandage. "You need a healer." Mama Asha managed a weak smile. "You are a healer. Not one who can replace the blood you are losing." A crash sounded near the chamber doors. Safia blocked a soldier's sword and drove him backwards. "We cannot remain here," she shouted. Malik stood near the throne, fighting with one arm because his injured shoulder had opened again. Zuri looked towards him. Since learning the truth about her child, he had barely spoken to her. He still protected her, but the warmth in his eyes had disappeared. Jabari stood behind his commander near the royal steps. He had not joined the fighting. He watched it as though the destruction belonged to someone else. Zuri rose. "This began because of you." Jabari looked at her. "This began because you returned. My village was burning before I entered this palace, and now the palace burns with it. You could stop this." Jabari's expression remained cold. "By allowing Adanna to strip me of my crown, by choosing the truth. The truth will not save the kingdom. No, it will bring peace." Jabari stepped closer. "You should have taken the gold I left beside you and forgotten me." Malik heard him. His sword lowered slightly. "You paid her?" Jabari glanced towards his son. It was finished. Zuri felt the old hunting house return around her, the empty room, the cold bracelet, the promise that had disappeared by morning. "You were never going to return," she said. Jabari gave no answer. Malik looked at his father with disgust. "You deceived her, abandoned her, then sent soldiers to destroy her village. The village sheltered rebels. Did you even know that when you ordered the attack?" Jabari's silence answered him. Malik stepped towards him. "You burned them because she could expose you." Jabari's commander raised his sword. "Your Highness, step away from the king." Malik ignored him. "And now I will help you." Mama Esha tried to take a step and nearly fell. Safia caught her. "You cannot reach the kitchens. I know another way." Adanna studied her. "Why should we trust you? You should not." Mama Esha looked towards the corridor where Zuri had disappeared. "But she did." Her voice trembled. "She refused freedom because she would not leave me behind." Adanna looked towards the palace doors. Outside, her supporters struck the main gates, unaware that the servants' entrance remained guarded from within. "How many men protect it?" she asked. 4. Safia drew her sword. "Not for long." Adanna turned to Malik. "We will open the palace gates." Malik's eyes remained on the path Kellen had taken. "And Zuri? You cannot rescue her by allowing Kellen to choose the battlefield." "I will not abandon her." "You are walking into his trap." Malik looked at his mother. "He knows I will come because she matters to me." Adanna stepped closer. "Does she still?" Malik's face tightened. "The truth changed what stands between us. But it does not mean I will allow her to die." He walked towards the old throne courtyard. Safia tried to follow. Malik stopped her. "Kellen asked for me alone. If he sees soldiers, he kills her. He may kill her anyway. Then I need him looking at me when your gates open." Adanna understood. "You will distract him." "As long as I can." She placed a hand against her son's face. "Do not die before you reclaim what's rightfully yours." Malik gave the faintest smile. "I will try not to embarrass you." He left. Baraka forced Zuri into the old throne courtyard. It had not been used since King Omari's reign. Stone statues of past rulers surrounded the open space. At the center stood an empty ceremonial seat, cracked by years of rain. Kellen waited beside it. His soldiers occupied the balconies. Zuri's hands were tied behind her back. Kellen walked around her slowly. "My brother has unfortunate taste. You mistake obsession for love because no one has ever loved you." His expression changed, only for a second. Then he smiled. "You think Malik loves you? He nearly died protecting me. He protected what he believed you were." Zuri held his gaze. "And what am I? My father's discarded shame." Kellen drew his knife. "And my brother's weakness." He cut the rope from her wrists but kept the blade near her throat. "Why free my hands?" "Because I want Malik to believe you have a chance." Zuri looked towards the surrounding soldiers. "You plan to kill him. I plan to give him an opportunity to surrender. And when he does, I kill him." Kellen spoke without hesitation. "Then father names me heir. Mother loses her strongest defender. You and the child disappear before sunrise. You believe Jabari will reward you. I do not need his love. No." Zuri looked towards the empty ceremonial throne. "You only need his crown." Kellen's face hardened. Before he could answer, footsteps entered the courtyard. Malik appeared alone. His bloodied sword hung at his side. Zuri's breath caught. "You should not have come." Malik kept his eyes on Kellen. "I have heard that often today." Kellen pulled Zuri against him and placed the knife near her stomach. Malik stopped. "Release her. Drop your sword." Zuri shook her head. "Do not." Kellen pressed the blade closer. "Father wants her dead. You want her alive." His smile widened. "Let us discover which son inherited his weakness." Malik looked at Zuri. Pain, anger, and love moved across his face. She could not separate one from the others. He slowly lowered his sword. The blade struck the stone. Kellen laughed. "There you are, brother." Malik raised his empty hands. "You have me. Let her go." "You still believe I fight fair? Pathetic." "Let her go. Your fight is with me. My fight is with everyone standing between me and the throne." Behind Kellen, one of the palace doors trembled. No one noticed. Mama Esha leaned against Safia as they reached the servants' entrance. 4 guards stood before it. Safia attacked before they could raise the alarm. Her first blade struck one guard's sword. Her second cut through another man's arm. Adanna's loyal soldiers rushed from behind her. The fight ended quickly. Mama Esha stumbled towards the gate mechanism. Blood ran down her dress. Adanna caught her. "Tell us what to do." "There are 2 locks," Mama Esha pointed weakly. "The upper wheel opens the servants' entrance. The lower chain releases the main palace gates." Safia grabbed the wheel. It would not move. "It is blocked." Mama Esha looked towards a narrow space beneath the mechanism. "The locking bar is inside." "No one can reach it," Adanna said. "I can." "You will not fit." Mama Esha lowered herself painfully to the ground. She crawled beneath the mechanism. Safia knelt. "If the chain moves, it may crush you." Mama Esha reached into the darkness. "Then pull it quickly." Adanna looked at her. "You may die here." Mama Esha's eyes filled with tears. "I betrayed Zuri for a house. She found the locking bar. But she gave me a home beside her. I didn't even earn." With both hands, she pulled. The bar shifted. Now, Safia turned the wheel. The servants' entrance opened. Adanna's supporters rushed inside. Mama Esha reached for the lower chain. It was too heavy. Adanna knelt and grabbed it with her. Together, they pulled. The mechanism groaned. Across the palace, the main gates began to open. The people outside roared. Kellen heard the sound. His smile disappeared. Baraka looked towards the courtyard entrance. The gates. Malik saw fear enter his brother's face. Kellen pressed the knife against Zuri. "What did you do?" Malik smiled faintly. "I came alone." The palace gates opened wider. Adanna's soldiers flooded the outer courtyard. Freed captives followed them, carrying broken chains as weapons. Kellen looked towards Baraka. "Close the gates." "It is too late." Kellen turned back towards Malik. His plan was collapsing. Malik stood unarmed before him. Zuri remained beneath his blade. For one final moment, Kellen still controlled the courtyard. Then Mama Isha's voice echoed from the entrance behind Adanna's soldiers. "Zuri." Zuri turned. Mama Esha stood between Safia and the queen, barely able to remain upright. Blood covered her dress, but the gates behind her were open. Kellen dragged Zuri backwards. "Kill them all." His soldiers raised their weapons. Malik reached for the sword lying on the ground, and the palace erupted into battle. Chapter 10. The crown without chains. The palace erupted into battle. Malik reached for his sword as Commander Baraka charged towards him. Steel struck steel. Baraka forced Malik backwards, aiming every blow at his wounded shoulder. "You should have stayed dead," Baraka said. Malik blocked another strike. "You should have chosen a prince who could win." Baraka attacked again. Across the courtyard, Kellen dragged Zuri towards the cracked ceremonial throne. His knife remained close to her stomach. "Stop fighting," he shouted, "or she dies." Malik froze. Baraka struck him across the face with the handle of his sword. Malik fell to one knee. "Malik," Zuri cried. Kellen smiled. "There, that is the weakness I was waiting for." Zuri looked down at the knife, then at the stone beneath her feet. She drove her heel into Kellen's foot and threw her head backwards into his face. Kellen cried out. His grip loosened. Zuri twisted away as the knife sliced through the side of her dress. Malik rose and attacked Baraka with renewed fury. Their swords collided twice. On the third strike, Malik knocked Baraka's weapon from his hand. Baraka reached for a hidden dagger. A broken chain wrapped around his wrist. One of the freed prisoners pulled him backwards. More captives surrounded him. Baraka stared at the men and women his soldiers had kept beneath the palace. "You are still prisoners," he said. The prisoner tightened the chain. "Not anymore." They dragged him to the ground. Kellen seized Zuri by the hair. "You should have remained in your village. You should have remained your father's forgotten son." His face twisted with rage. He raised the knife. Safia's sword struck it from his hand. Adanna entered the courtyard behind her, surrounded by loyal soldiers and freed captives. The main gates stood open. People from the capital flooded into the palace grounds, demanding answers. Kellen backed towards the throne. "You brought common people into the royal courtyard." Adanna looked at the captives carrying broken chains. "They have more right to stand here than the men who sold them." Kellen pointed towards her. "You would destroy your own family for slaves." "No." Adanna's voice remained calm. "I am destroying what my family became." Kellen looked towards the balconies. Archers. No one fired. Several soldiers lowered their bows. Others moved towards Adanna's side. Kellen searched their faces. "I will be king," a voice answered from the royal steps. "No." King Jabari entered the courtyard with one hand pressed against his bleeding side. 2 guards supported him. Kellen stared at his father. "Name me heir." Jabari laughed bitterly. "You tried to murder Malik without my command. Because you were too weak to do it yourself. You turned my palace into a battlefield. You turned Mother's palace into your kingdom." Jabari's face hardened. Kellen stepped closer. "You married a princess because her father had no sons. You used her blood to become king. Do not pretend you are different from me. I knew when to wait, and I know when to take." Kellen picked up a fallen sword. "Name me heir before the people." Jabari looked at the crowd gathering beyond the courtyard. "No." Kellen placed the blade against his father's chest. "You have already lost Malik." Jabari glanced towards his eldest son. Malik stood beside Zuri, his sword lowered but ready. "No," Jabari said. "You have." Kellen drove the sword into his father's side. Adanna gasped. Jabari collapsed against the steps. Kellen turned towards the crowd. "The king has fallen. I am the only prince strong enough to restore order." Malik stepped forward. "You stabbed your own father. I removed a weak ruler. You are not king." Kellen raised his sword. "Then stop me." The brothers met beneath the statues of their ancestors. Kellen attacked first. His blade struck Malik's wounded shoulder, opening the injury again. Malik staggered. Kellen struck him across the ribs. "You are given everything," Kellen said. Malik blocked the next attack. "You wanted everything. Mother loved you more. That was never my crime. Father trusted you. Father trusted no one." Their swords collided. Kellen forced Malik towards the cracked throne. "You were born first, so everyone decided you were better." Malik pushed him away. "You tried to kill me because you believed a crown could heal what you hated about yourself." Kellen roared and charged. Malik turned aside. Kellen struck the stone throne, breaking part of the armrest. Malik kicked the sword from his hand. It slid across the courtyard. Kellen fell to his knees. Malik placed his blade against his brother's throat. The fighting around them slowed. Kellen looked up. "Do it." Malik did not move. "You came here to kill me," Kellen continued. "Do not become weak now." Malik lowered the sword slightly. "Mercy is not weakness." Kellen laughed. "It is when you offer it to me." He pulled a hidden knife from his boot. Zuri saw it. "Malik!" Kellen lunged. Malik caught his wrist. They struggled until Safia struck Kellen's arm with the flat side of her sword. The knife fell. Adanna's guard seized him. Kellen fought wildly. "Let me go. I am a prince." Adanna stood before him. "You are my son." For one moment, Kellen stopped struggling. Adanna's eyes filled with pain. but you will answer for every life you destroyed." The guards dragged him away. Kellen looked towards the throne as though it were being taken from him again. I was supposed to rule. Adanna did not follow him with her eyes. Zuri rushed towards Mama Isha. The old woman had collapsed beside the gate mechanism. Blood covered her clothing. Zuri knelt and pressed both hands against the wound. "Bring water." Mama Isha caught her wrist. "No, I can stop the bleeding." "You cannot. I am not losing you here." Mama Isha smiled weakly. "You already lost the woman you thought I was." Zuri's eyes filled with tears. "You betrayed me. I know. You placed all of us in danger for money. I know. And I still came back for you." Mama Isha looked towards the open palace gates. Did they enter? Yes. The prisoners. They are free. Relief crossed the old woman's face. Kellen promised me a house. He promised me freedom. Zuri struggled to keep pressure on the wound. "I spent my whole life living as a slave. At least I get to die free." Mama Isha's voice weakened. Zuri lowered her head. "I cannot tell you that what you did no longer hurts. Do not lie for a dying woman." Mama Isha touched Zuri's stomach. "Make sure this child is born free from corrupt men." Zuri covered Mama Isha's hand with her own. "She will be born free." Mama Isha smiled. "Then perhaps something good survived me." Her hand slipped from Zuri's stomach. "Mama Isha?" The old woman did not answer. Zuri pulled her close and wept. Malik stood several steps away. He wanted to comfort her, but after everything the truth had broken between them, he did not know whether he still had the right. So he remained close enough for her to know she was not alone. Jabari was carried into the center of the courtyard. He was still alive. Adanna stood above him. The crown had fallen from his head during the fighting. It lay near the foot of the royal steps. Jabari reached towards it. Adanna placed her foot over the crown. He looked up at her. "Help me. You sent soldiers after my son. Kellen deceived me. You burned Zuri's village. They resisted the crown. You sold innocent people. I protected the kingdom." Adanna knelt before him. "No, you protected yourself." Jabari looked towards the guards. "Arrest her. I am still king." No one moved. Adanna picked up the crown. "My father trusted your father. He believed marrying me to you would protect the kingdom after his death." She looked towards the people filling the courtyard. "Instead, I allowed you to use my blood to hide your cruelty." Jabari tried to stand. "You cannot rule without me." Adanna faced him. "The kingdom existed before you entered this palace." She turned towards the royal council members who had gathered near the doors. "Jabari is stripped of the crown. He will stand trial for the destruction of the southern villages, the unlawful imprisonment of captives, and the sale of our people." Jabari stared at her. "You would humiliate your husband before the kingdom. You stopped being my husband when you used our marriage as armor for your crimes." The guards lifted him. As they carried him away, Jabari looked towards Zuri. There was no apology in his face, only resentment. "You brought this destruction here." Zuri rose beside Mama Isha's body. "No." She wiped the tears from her face. The people began shouting for justice. Jabari was taken into the same lower compound where he had imprisoned the villagers. For the first time, the doors closed with him on the other side. By sunset, the fighting had ended. Commander Baraka and the soldiers who supported Kellen were imprisoned. The remaining captives were brought into the courtyard, given food, and allowed to search for family members among the crowd. Some found brothers, some found wives, others found only names and memories. Adanna stood on the royal steps without Jabari beside her. She held the crown, but did not place it on her head. "My father left this kingdom to his bloodline," she told the people. "I surrendered too much authority to a man who used it against you." The courtyard became silent. From this day, no person will be bought, sold, or held as property within this kingdom. The freed captives began to cry. The villages destroyed under Jabari's orders will be rebuilt. Land taken from their families will be returned. Those responsible will face judgment before the people they harmed. Adanna looked towards Malik. My eldest son remains the lawful heir. Malik stepped beside her. He looked at the crown, then at the captives below. I will not inherit my father's sins. He faced the people. I will earn the right to lead before I wear that crown. Adanna studied him with quiet pride. She placed the crown upon her own head, not as Jabari's wife, as Queen Adanna, daughter of King Omari and ruler in her own right. The people bowed. Zuri remained standing. Adanna saw her. Instead of demanding that she kneel, the queen lowered her head in recognition. Zuri did the same, not as a captive before a queen, as one woman acknowledging another. Later that night, Zuri stood beneath the palace fig tree, the same kind of tree beneath which Jabari had once promised her a future. She had buried Mama Esha beyond the eastern wall, facing the open road she had once dreamed of traveling as a free woman. Malik approached quietly. His shoulder had been bandaged again. You should be resting, Zuri said. So should you. For a moment, neither spoke. The child is innocent, Malik said. Zuri looked at him. I know. I should have said that before. You were hurt. I am still hurt. She nodded. I know. Malik moved closer. I meant what I said in the council chamber. That you loved me? Yes. Zuri's eyes lowered. Do you regret it now? I regret that the truth came after I had already given you my trust. I wanted to tell you, but you did not. No. She did not defend herself. Malik appreciated that more than another explanation. I do not know how to stand beside you without seeing my father, he admitted. Zuri placed a hand over her stomach. And I do not know how to accept your love without fearing it will become another promise. Malik nodded. Then I will not make one tonight. She looked at him. No promises. Not until my actions have given the words somewhere honest to stand. For the first time since the council chamber, something softened inside her. Malik looked towards the palace. My mother has offered you rooms here. I do not want to live inside another royal family's walls. What do you want? My village rebuilt? It will be. A place where I can heal people without asking whether they have money. We will provide it. Zuri's expression sharpened. We, the kingdom. Not the prince trying to win my affection. Malik almost smiled. The prince has learned that you dislike gifts. Good. He stepped back. You are free to leave. Zuri studied him. And if I stay? You stay because you choose to. That was the first thing a royal person had offered her without closing a hand around it. Months later, a child's cry filled the newly built healing house near Zuri's restored village. Zuri lay beneath a clean white cloth, exhausted but smiling. Her daughter rested against her chest. Outside, villagers waited with food, songs, and flowers. Queen Adanna stood near the doorway. She has strong lungs, the queen said. She will need them to survive in this family. Adanna almost smiled. Malik waited outside until Zuri called his name. He entered slowly. His eyes settled on the baby. For one brief moment, pain crossed his face. Then the child wrapped her tiny hand around his finger. Malik looked at Zuri. May I hold her? Zuri hesitated. Then she placed the child in his arms. He held her carefully. She was nearly born in chains, he whispered. Zuri looked through the open doorway. The rebuilt village stretched beyond the healing house. Former captives walked freely between the homes. Children played beneath the fig trees. No, she said. She was born into a world where the chains have been broken. Malik sat beside her. Their wounds had not disappeared. Trust had not returned in a single sunrise. But he had kept coming. He had helped rebuild the village without asking Zuri to forgive him for his father. He had listened when she spoke. He had stayed when silence would have been easier. Zuri rested her head against the wall. Malik, yes? You may come back tomorrow. A quiet smile appeared on his face. I will. She raised an eyebrow. That sounds like a promise. He looked down at the child sleeping in his arms. Then I will return and make it true. Outside, the village drums began to sound, not to announce raiders, not to mourn prisoners. They played for a child born free. The end